Advances in computing, AI, and semiconductors have supercharged the startup ecosystem, igniting the dream of becoming a founder in many minds around the world. That's why we're coming to you from Meet Taipei, one of the biggest events for early-stage startups in Taiwan. So, whether you're thinking of taking the plunge into entrepreneurship or just want to stay abreast of business and tech trends, the next half hour is for you. I'm Tomasz Koper, and this is Connected on TaiwanPlus. To give us a bird's eye view of the startup scene in Taiwan and talk about the utility of events like Meet Taiwan, we have with us John Wang, the co-founder and editor-in-chief at Business Next Media, who has covered industry trends and innovation in Taiwan for over 2 decades, and Alan John Koo, operations director at Startup Island Taiwan, responsible for international matchmaking, ecosystem programs, and market access services. Thank you both for joining us and sharing your insights into the startup scene and this event where we are at today, Meet Taipei. And I want to start with that. So John, Business Next launched Meet Taipei in 2011. So it's been quite a number of years already. What changes have you seen in the startup ecosystem here in that time?
12 years ago when we first started Meet Taipei, and we had a hard time picking up teams and inviting people from abroad to come to attend the Meet Taipei event back then. But this year we have more and more requests from these foreign partners. So for example, we have in Canada, have 1 pavilion this year at Meet Taipei, and we also have teams from 19 countries, altogether more than 100 startup teams from around the world to join the Meet Taipei this year. So it's now more international as opposed to 12 years ago.
Did you have to adjust the format in any way to accommodate international teams?
Yes, most of the presentation right now at Meet Taipei is in English. So we try to make it more friendly for all the participants to communicate friendly with each other.
Well, Alan, how would a first-time participant navigate being at Meet Taipei? What are the do's and don'ts?
I wouldn't say there's not many don'ts, but I say do's are definitely kind of connect with your friends that are already in the ecosystem. Generally, a lot of the partners that we do know that come here, they already have existing networks and partners. Only thing I would say don't do is don't stay at home in the evenings because there are a lot of nighttime events. Do try to go out and make more friends that outside of your normal networks, because at Meet Taipei, you definitely get to meet, like John said, 19 countries, all around ecosystem, a lot of partners. Those could be from startup founders to investors to corporates. So do try to make more friends, shake more hands.
How do you think, and this is a question for both of you, how do you think this event differs from other events for startups that we see in Taiwan, like Innovex?
Meet Taipei, we position ourselves as an ecosystem builder. So we work with everybody, so including Innovex. So whether it's investors, entrepreneurs, or accelerators, incubators, government agencies, or universities, we'd like to invite each other to engage in this platform, because you need information to flow freely around the different parties. So good ideas could be, product could hit the market. So we'd like to make friends with everyone to join this ecosystem.
From your perspective, what do you think are the biggest differences for participants?
I think for participants joining Meet Taipei, I think they can get, versus Innovex, you get a very concentrated interest in startups. I think sometimes maybe Innovex combined with Computex, the focus on startups might get a little diluted or a little bit diverse, because the diversion from startups to the other side where Computex is, sometimes the people who join Innovex Computex, they might just diverge their views or thoughts to get away, I want to see this. But when they come to Meet Taipei, it's really startup focused, it's really grassroots. They can actually meet the founders in here. So I think that's the big difference I see.
Well, AI is taking the center stage, unsurprisingly maybe, at this year's Meet Taipei. It's kind of everywhere you go, not just here today. Before we talk about that, because of course we have to, is there anything else outside sort of the AI realm that drew your attention this year?
The theme for Meet Taipei this year is dancing with AI. So we have a lot of teams that focus on this area. So they provide tools, solutions, or a system. So try to help more companies and individuals adapt the AI era. So that's the highlight of this year, Meet Taipei. So, and also in this year we have a CVC launch. That's something we have never done before, because CVC, corporate VC, play a very important role in supporting and financing these startups in Taiwan. So we hope to bridge them more closely, so they can get more opportunities, whether it's funding, whether it's a customer test opportunity, something for startups to grow faster.
After the initial boom in generative AI, 3 years ago, we're now seeing slightly more diverse application of AI. We have, industrial AI. We have agent AI kind of starting to take off. Where do you see, Alan? Where do you see kind of the most interest focusing from early stage startups?
Many of the founders that we engage that have their AI solutions, generally I think it ranges. The solutions that from Taiwan are quite varied: healthcare, manufacturing, marketing, AIs. But I think for us, when we actually go to different conferences or bring them to some of the tech shows, it's regionally based for us. I think Japan, there's a lot of interest in Taiwan's manufacturing AI solutions. Also healthcare. That also diverges with Vietnam, since there's a lot of Taiwanese manufacturers already over there, and they're already creating a supply chain in Vietnam. So that a lot of the Taiwanese kind of manufacturing tech or automation, smart manufacturing AIs, that's where a lot of Taiwanese companies see a lot of success. In the US, healthcare, Taiwan has a very robust healthcare system, but in turn it also kind of generates startups that have AI solutions in their products. So healthcare AI, which a few of them already have gotten recognized by the Mayo Clinic in the US. Yes.
John, there is this popular opinion that Taiwan is very good at hardware, maybe not so good at software. Do you see that still reflected in the kind of startups that are currently emerging that we could meet here at Meet Taipei?
I think that's still true, but it's changing. That we're still very much hardware focused, but we see more and more hardware and software integration companies, especially in startups. So purely software companies also on the rise, but they're still a small number, as opposed to this hardware and hardware software integration. 2 days before Meet Taipei, we just met with a delegation led by Pat Gelsinger, the former CEO of Intel. He led 7 of his portfolio companies to Taipei to meet with the local supply chain and ecosystem, because you have a dream in Silicon Valley, and Taiwan is the best place to help you make that dream come true. So I think that's the same for the startups here in Taiwan too. You need to work with a lot of suppliers, especially in the hardware part, even in the AI field. But I think software is playing a more and more important role. But pure software play in Taiwan, I think is still early. If you can leverage the base of the hardware manufacturers, especially the supply chain or the ecosystem here, that will give the more advantage to the local startups here.
Well, speaking of advantages, one of the biggest advantages for a startup that is coming up here in Taiwan is the proximity to some of the titans of tech manufacturing, like TSMC. Is this an advantage for local startups, and are they using it?
Oh, yes. I think on that point, that's an advantage. I think we always say Taiwan is a country where you can do design, prototype to final product all in 50 kilometers. And I think the access to some of these giants, these OEMs, is an advantage. But also kind of Taiwan's small, medium enterprises, who are actually the backbone of Taiwan's economy. They also have a kind of a give back, a cooperating with early stage startups. So plastic molding that might cost 30,000 to do a plastic molding, or 1 million Taiwan dollars. A lot of these small, medium enterprise owners will help a startup to do that plastic molding at a lower price to at least get them their prototype earlier.
Are we seeing more, you mentioned kind of this integration of hardware and software. Are we seeing an integration of hardware and AI specifically?
Oh yes, we can see more and more devices but maybe not devices from Taiwan brand, but you certainly have suppliers from Taiwan. So for example, like the goggles, and there are more and more like these wearable devices that is embedded with the AI functions. And you can see a lot of Taiwan component suppliers or system suppliers from Taiwan. So in that regard, Taiwan play a kind of very important role in the hardware manufacturing regarding the AI, in addition to chips.
Right. John, I'm going to stay with you here. I want to kind of switch to investments and talk a little bit about that. Global venture capital going into startups was declining until late 2024. But at the same time, it was rising in Taiwan, with early age investment reaching around 3.3 billion US dollars. How did Taiwan manage to buck the trend?
I think that's the result of the relentless effort over the past decade. So you have first a few startups, then the ecosystem. And also we need to give credit to the Taiwan Stock Exchange because they make a great effort to lower the barrier for going IPO for startups. So this year, last year, and the year before, we have more and more startups fighting IPO here in Taiwan capital market. So they certainly encourage more startups to join. And also for the investor, whether it's a seed fund, angel investor, or venture capital, or even, like I mentioned, the corporate VC, they pour more and more money into this field.
I was actually about to ask how much of that can be attributed to CVC.
I think right now, more than half of overall investment are from CVC. So we think that that's a pretty healthy kind of thing to go on. So that's why this year we especially have the CVC launch here in Meet Taipei, trying to engage more with the CVC and the startups together.
Well, Alan, what kind of trends in investment, the investor preferences, risk appetite, have we seen this year, and what can we expect going forward into next year?
Okay. I think in terms of kind of for what we see at Startup Island Taiwan and who engages us to source startups, Japan and Singapore. I think Japan, a lot of the corporates over there do need solutions for their kind of next stage, their industry 2.0. There's a term in Japan called DX, or digital transformation. And so that's what a lot of the Japanese corporates are looking for. Taiwan does have a lot of those solutions. So manufacturing AI, usually actually early stage. And in addition, I think Japanese corporates who look to Taiwan companies to help enter the Southeast Asian market. I think two companies that come in mind, one is KKday. They work with the Japanese Travel Bureau, or JTB, to help them find partners in Southeast Asia. Because KKday has an inventory of the different solutions and providers in Southeast Asia, but they work with them to share that to the Japan market and the Japanese travel agencies. So it's kind of like a hand in hand there. From Southeast Asia and Singapore, it's purely investment. They look to Taiwan companies for early stage. They want the deep tech to be based out of Singapore. So then they try to bring in I don't want to say poach, but attract Taiwanese companies to create a subsidiary or a new office in Singapore, and then they inject funds there. Yes.
Compared to other countries in the region, other economies here, is Taiwan a good place for investors, foreign investors, to look for early stage deep tech investment through events like Meet Taipei?
Certainly, because the whole environment is quite vibrant. So 80% of the people in Taiwan, given the opportunity, they would like to start their own business, regardless of age, education, geography, even occupation. So that kind of spirit is already here. It's like a culture thing. So, and given the opportunity with AI, everybody's empowered. So right now, we heard more and more young people, even students in college, would like to even give a shot. So there are quite a few universities in Taiwan, and I believe there'll be more, to have student program to help their startup companies. And also there is support from government agencies as well. So that's an aspect that we try to help and give more resources in the future.
Well, Alan, if you were a founder of a deep tech startup today, where would you turn to find funding? Where do you think would be your best bet?
Oh, I think that's a question kind of that's not hard to answer, but I think it's who do you want to be on your cap table first? Do you want it to be a private VC or a CVC? Or would you want it to first start out with Taiwan's NDF fund? And I think there's a few backers there. Uh, I think also CDIB, Spark Labs, we have Headline Asia that all are part of Taiwan's National Development Fund that is part of the LP of them. So as a deep tech founder, generally you probably want to get your funding there first. But honestly, it's do you want anybody on your cap table to begin with? If you can create your solution with not much capital needs and you're just the founder, maybe it might be easier for you to keep some of your equity before sharing it out. Yeah.
Well, John, what kind of feedback are you getting from investors who come here and participate in Meet Taipei?
Especially this year, they find more and more companies getting mature, and they also find more diversity. So we have different sources of startups. So like I said, of the 400 plus startup teams, more than 100 is from international background. So that's something. And also there's more and more this kind of matchmaking process. We try to matchmake with the investor, with the business owner, and also with different ecosystem partners. So you can see it's not just to come here to see something demo, something new. It's a place to do business. So that's a big difference this year.
Do you find that they tend to have a preference, or they tend to work better with certain types of startups than other types?
I think these industrial solutions still preferred by most because they come here to seek solutions. And also there are some investors, whether it's VC or CVC, they come here to find possible candidates to invest. So it's like a deal flow sourcing. So I think these two types are most frequent in what we see here in Meet Taipei.
Well, Alan, you already mentioned Japanese institutions, Japanese investors coming here. Why do you think they like Taiwan so much? What is the main draw for them to come here rather than go to other countries in the region or look for investment internally in Japan?
I think there's a few factors that I could list. One would be the proximity, of course, but I think also there's a high level of trust. And then at the same time, I think Taiwan and Japan share certain values that align: precision, timeliness, and also kind of respect of law. I think Taiwan's high IP laws, they can trust Taiwan will protect your IP, your copyright. So I think dealing with a lot of business ethics, Taiwan does rank quite high. But at the same time, I think Taiwan's efficiency. Taiwan is famous for cost down. So at the same time, I think the Japan partners can feel like they can get a high quality partner, but at the same time, it will be efficient for their books.
Yeah, speaking of efficiency, I like to quote Pat Gessinger. He said, in Taiwan, you can have an idea at breakfast and see the prototype at lunch. And by dinner, you go to production. That's the efficiency.
Yes.
Does this still hold true in 2025 in this environment?
It's still true. I'm sure even to 2030, 2040, it will still be true.
Very strong sense of community. So you can get a referral for a partner very fast in Taiwan.
Doesn't it also make it a little insular though? With the scene being relatively small, everyone kind of knowing each other, are newcomers having an easy time breaking through those barriers, breaking into the scene?
Well, I think I cannot say that kind of barrier doesn't exist, but most people here in town are quite friendly to foreigners. So as long as you show your kindness, it's easy to communicate. But in terms of doing business, of course, you need to spend some time here. Drinking beer, having some big meals, and even karaoke or KTV. That's a way how you make friends here, and then you start doing business. But I think that kind of atmosphere is still kind of friendly to foreign, whether coming to look for business or look for funding. At least we're not that kind of we're still friendly. I think Taiwan, that's overall what Taiwan people are about.
Actually, on that note, are you seeing more foreign founders who are based here in Taiwan, not just coming here for the meeting for Meet Taipei, but founders who choose Taiwan as their base of operations? What kind of numbers are we looking at here?
I think it's growing. So for example, Steve Chen, the co-founder of YouTube, he stayed in Taiwan and he's going to have his own startup program coming soon. And also we have some foreigners community. So each year in Meet Taipei, we have a Dragon Chamber. So it's a foreign startup community in Taiwan, and the number of the participants grow year after year. So this year we got to give them a much bigger booth to accommodate all the visitors.
Alan, as we're nearing the end of the second day of this event of Meet Taipei, is there anything that has caught your eye? What are you excited about, maybe both in terms of technology, but also the way people interact, the way investors and startups are talking to each other?
I think what's really surprising is I can see Qualcomm with their show upcoming, their QITC program, the Qualcomm Innovation Technology Challenge. That program, they're having it today actually. So Evie Tai over there, she's doing a great job. So I think what you see is a combination of years and years, and then having this showing today. But at the same time, I could see there's a lot of evening get-togethers that are happening. This evening, I think the program that the Linko Startup Terrace is running with Fukuoka, they're going to have a karaoke night. I think Super AI, who runs Token 2049, they're having a get-together. So I think it's the increase in the international visitors, and the international visitors actually hosting evening events to engage with the community. You can see the growth in the community for Meet Taipei over the years. Yeah.
Well, John, the same question to you. What has caught your eye after almost 2 days of Meet Taipei?
I will echo what Alan said, that we have more and more this startup team demo show in Meet Taipei. This year, I think at least more than 5, hosted by different parties like Qualcomm, like we hosted the NeoStar, and there also a local government from Hsinchu, they also have their own, and also another one hosted by university. So everybody would like to have their demo show here in Meet Taipei. So try to also learn from each other and exchange information from each other. So that's what we like to see. Because this is a platform, we cannot do everything. We like people to bring their valuable stuff here in Meet Taipei. So it's kind of exchange value with each other. So they make this place grow bigger.
Well, speaking of demos, we've seen a number of American, Chinese, even a Russian company unveil humanoid robots. Is that a trend that you're starting to see here in Taiwan as well, or are companies focusing on different aspects of technology?
I think there are more and more companies that focus on this humanoid, whether provide the components or some parts of the whole robots. But in Meet Taipei, maybe it's not for them, because they're more like for the industrial show. So, but for Meet Taipei, we'd like to see more and more companies use this humanoid to come up with a service bundle together with them to be at Meet Taipei. So maybe next year or the year after, we're going to see more.
Well, John, Meet Taipei is focused on early stage startups. Do you think that the Taiwanese startup ecosystem is doing enough to support startups who are exiting this early stage and going to later stages and looking for further rounds of funding and building out their businesses? Is there enough support here, or are founders who exit this early stage looking to move to other economies and find sources of investment elsewhere?
I think 2 parts for that question. First part is that we have more and more investment. So like for the C funds, for the angel investment, for the pre-A or Series A invest, is growing more and more over the past 5 years. But for the startup company here to raise a Series B or Series C, they need to go abroad, because this is a domestic market, only 23 million people, so it's not big enough. In order to persuade the investor to give him more money for Series B and Series C, you need to go outside, whether go to Japan, Southeast Asia, or go to North America or Europe. You need to have a story, and then you need to have execution. So that's what's happening right now. So I think it's that kind of, it's a kind of happy problem, because 10 years ago there are much fewer startups than today. So they did not have time to grow up to like Series B or Series C, and they just vanished. But today we have more and more teams now, big enough for Series A than Series B. So going abroad to have a second or third market is a must-do for the local startups. And that's a problem faced by most of the startup company right now.
Among the visitors at this year's Meet Taipei, we've had the venture arm of MIT, representatives from the University of Singapore.
Also from Tokyo University, Kyoto University too.
How is that relationship between academia and startups and kind of spinning out startups from academic research looking like in Taiwan? Are universities receptive to have their ideas, their research commercialized this way?
You know, there's a program named the 50K in MIT that encourages students to, come with a proposal. The winner can be given 50K to start their own company. And we heard a lot of students in Stanford drop out to start up companies. So that's the kind of story we heard again and again. So that also encouraged the young people in Taiwan to start their own business from university or from college. So we see more and more right now. So for example, like the Taiwan University, Jiao Tong University or Tsinghua University, they all have their similar garage plan to encourage students in school to, if they want to start a business, they can, get some resource in school first. And then also there will be some bridge program to help them find outside resources. So I think that's growing. But on the other hand, we also see some engineers who work in big companies like Google, Taiwan, or TSMC or MediaTek for like 8 years and 10 years, and then came out to startup companies. And for them, they have much more resources and much well connected. So we see different trends going on in Taiwan, but one thing in common, that just start and own their own company.
Well, Alan, I know it's difficult to imagine, but let's imagine I am a university student about to graduate. I want to start a tech startup here in Taiwan. Would Taiwan be a good place for me to do it? Or should I, given my background as a foreign resident here, would I be better off going to Europe or North America and starting my venture there?
You're speaking of a viewpoint as a foreign resident graduating?
Yes, a foreign founder. I'm based here, I live here, but I do have other options when it comes to starting a company. Where would I be better off?
I think creating and conceptualizing the startup here in Taiwan be great as a first step. I think for two reasons. First, your runway is longer, your burn rate would be lower, and you would have great talent around you here in Taiwan. And as a foreign student, I think you would have this government resources to support you as a former student of a Taiwanese university. So I think that support system to get you on your way would be quite well received. And secondly, I think your market, Southeast Asia, is pretty much the most dynamic market upcoming in the world. So you would have direct access to Southeast Asia. With that, your funding from the United States or from Middle East would be pretty, I wouldn't say easy, but it would come in line at an easier rate. Yeah.
Well, John, speaking of government support, government investment, overall, do you think that the level of support that founders are getting here from the government, and I'm not only talking about money, I also mean the entire bureaucratic process, getting all the paperwork in order, is that fostering the sort of creativity in the ecosystem enough, or could that be streamlined better here in Taiwan?
I think there's always room for better streamlining here, but the government actually over the past, I would say, like 10 to 20 years has made substantial progress in helping the startups here. So we can see more and more companies filing IPO here, and you can see they get grants or investment from government-supported fund or VCs. So overall, the whole ecosystem and environment is becoming more friendly for startups. So I think that's a good thing. But given that, always we need government to allocate more funding and have more resources, and more overseas offices except Tokyo and Silicon Valley, maybe the third office, fourth office. I think there will always be room for them to improve.
Alan, what are you looking forward to next year? Both in terms of the entire year for startups and for the ecosystem, and 2026 Meet Taipei.
Oh, For the year upcoming, I look forward to more collaboration between Taiwan and international partners, especially since we've grown a lot with Japan. I think coming together with East Asia, together to Southeast Asia, that's something that's been a focus of our group and also Taiwan as a whole. There is a Go South initiative by the national government, so we're trying to push that forward. For Meet Taipei, hopefully we can continue this year's initiatives and kind of the push forward with community, and more so can join next year, 19 to go to 25 possibly. Yeah.
John, what kind of lessons have you drawn from this year, past years, that you want to apply to the next event, to 2026 Meet Taipei?
I'd like to echo what Alan said, that to increase international linkage, because Alan and his team did a good job in Japan. They have an office in Tokyo and try to bridge Taiwan and Japan. And we have an office in Silicon Valley. So we also help to bridge the resources from the Bay Area and Taiwan together. So right now, of course, companies like NVIDIA and Jensen Wang is doing their job a lot for big companies, like with TSMC, with Foxconn. But we like to help startups to also have the opportunity, have the access to Silicon Valley, whether for the capital, for the business opportunity, for any kind of partnership. And likewise, like Peg Yelsing bring his team here to Taiwan too. So we'd like this mutual communication to be more and more in the year to come.